So it did take a bit of time for us to get to know each other, but we did become, very close friends from quite early on.
There are moments in history when a single announcement changes everything, when words spoken from behind palace walls ripple outward across an entire nation, touching hearts in living rooms, offices, and street corners from London to Edinburgh and far beyond. Today is one of those moments. Buckingham Palace has just confirmed news about Catherine, Princess of Wales, that has left the United Kingdom standing still, holding its breath, united in grief, in prayer, and in a quiet, collective hope that somehow, against all odds, this story will find its way toward light. This is not a rumor. This is not speculation born from tabloid gossip or social media whispers. This is an official confirmation, delivered through proper palace channels, in the measured and deliberate language that the royal household reserves only for its most serious communications. And anyone who has followed the monarchy long enough knows that when Buckingham Palace speaks in careful, weighted words about health matters, the reality behind those words is almost always more serious than what is being said aloud. To understand the full gravity of what has been confirmed today, we need to go back to the beginning, because this announcement does not exist in isolation. It is the latest chapter in a story that began quietly, behind closed doors, in the opening weeks of 2024. In January of that year, Catherine underwent what was described publicly as planned abdominal surgery. The palace assured the public that the procedure had gone smoothly and that the princess was recovering well. There was no great alarm. People sent their well wishes and returned to their daily lives, fully expecting to see Catherine back on her feet and carrying out her duties within a matter of weeks. But weeks passed, and Catherine did not appear. The silence from Kensington Palace grew longer and heavier. Speculation mounted, and then, in March of 2024, Catherine herself stepped forward in a moment of extraordinary personal courage and delivered the news that shocked the world. She had been diagnosed with cancer. She was undergoing chemotherapy. She asked only for time, privacy, and the space to focus on her recovery. The outpouring of public support that followed was immediate and overwhelming. Cards, flowers, messages, and prayers flooded in from every corner of Britain and from countries across the globe. People who had never given much thought to the monarchy found themselves genuinely moved, genuinely worried, genuinely invested in the well-being of this woman, this mother, this princess who had always carried herself with such quiet dignity. That is the backdrop against which today's announcement must be understood. And what has been confirmed today is this: Catherine's health situation has not resolved in a way that everyone had been hoping. The road to recovery has proven longer, harder, and more complicated than the optimistic updates of recent months had suggested. The palace has confirmed that Catherine will be stepping back from public duties for an extended and indefinite period, while her medical team manages what has become a significantly more complex situation than initially understood. The language used in the official statement is precise and deliberate. Phrases like extended treatment and indefinite period are not chosen carelessly in palace communications. Every syllable is reviewed, debated, and approved at the highest levels before it reaches the public. These are not the words used to describe a temporary setback or a routine complication. These are words that signal a serious and developing medical situation, one that demands the full and undivided attention of everyone around Catherine, from her doctors to her family to the institution of the monarchy itself. Royal commentators and medical professionals watching this story unfold have been clear in their assessments. When a cancer patient completes a course of chemotherapy and is then required to begin an entirely new and more intensive treatment protocol, it means the disease has demonstrated a capacity to resist or adapt to initial treatment. It means the fight is not over. In many cases, it means the fight has entered a harder phase. What makes this announcement so profoundly moving is not simply the medical facts involved. It is the human being at the center of them. Catherine, Princess of Wales, is a woman in her early 40s. She is a wife. She is a mother to 3 young children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, who need her in the irreplaceable way that children need their mothers. She is a daughter-in-law, a patron of dozens of charities, a public servant who has devoted herself to causes ranging from early childhood development to mental health awareness to the arts. She did everything right. She sought medical attention. She submitted to treatment. She faced the cameras with composure and told the world about her diagnosis, even when doing so must have required every ounce of courage she possessed. She protected her children from public scrutiny while fighting a battle that most people face in private, without the added weight of global attention. She showed up again and again and carefully managed public appearances that demonstrated her determination not to let illness define her entirely. And yet here we are. Because cancer does not care about determination. It does not yield to willpower alone. It does not spare the brave or the good or the beloved. It advances according to its own logic, and Catherine's medical team has now confirmed that it has advanced in ways that require a fundamental change in approach. Those who have been close to Catherine during this period speak of a woman who has fought with extraordinary spirit. The private moments, the difficult days when treatment left her exhausted and physically depleted, the careful effort to maintain something like normal family life for her children, the reading of letters from well-wishers during moments of rest, the determination to remain involved in decisions about her children's schooling and daily routines, even when her energy was severely limited. These are the details that paint a portrait of remarkable human strength operating under almost unimaginable pressure. It is impossible to speak about Catherine without speaking about William. Prince William, the future King of England, has been navigating one of the most difficult passages any person can face, watching the person he loves most in the world fight for her life, while simultaneously fulfilling the responsibilities of his position and being the primary emotional anchor for 3 young children. By all accounts, William has risen to this challenge in ways that have surprised even those who knew him well. He has been present for the school runs, the bedtime routines, the homework, and the weekend activities, all while managing an expanding set of royal duties and carrying a private grief that he cannot fully share with the world. Those who have observed him closely describe a man who draws his strength from Catherine's example, from her refusal to surrender, from the way she continues to show up for their family even in her hardest moments. The children, for their part, are being protected as best as any parents can protect their children from difficult truths. But children are perceptive. George, Charlotte, and Louis are aware, at varying levels appropriate to their ages, that their mother is unwell. The family has sought guidance on how to navigate these conversations with honesty and love, how to create space for the children to ask questions and express their fears, while also maintaining the routines and moments of joy that children need to feel secure. King Charles, meanwhile, carries his own weight in this situation, managing his own cancer diagnosis, confirmed earlier in 2024. He has watched his daughter-in-law face a battle even more complicated than his own. Those close to the royal family describe Charles as deeply affected, deeply devoted to supporting William and his grandchildren through this period, and quietly grateful for the strengthening bond between father and son that adversity has forged where previous tensions once existed. The public response to today's confirmation has been immediate and deeply felt. Social media platforms have seen Catherine's name trend worldwide within minutes of the announcement. Messages of prayer, love, and solidarity have poured in from across the United Kingdom and from international communities that have followed her story. Ordinary people, many of whom have never met a member of the royal family and never will, find themselves genuinely grieving, genuinely frightened for this woman they feel they know. This response speaks to something Catherine has achieved that very few public figures ever manage. She has made herself genuinely loved, not as a symbol or a celebrity, but as a person. The warmth she brought to public engagements, the genuine interest she showed in the people she met, the authenticity she projected even within the constraints of royal life, these qualities have created a bond between her and the public that transcends institution and title. People are not praying for the Princess of Wales today. They are praying for Catherine. Hospital wards, cancer support groups, and patient communities across the country have expressed particular solidarity. People navigating their own cancer journeys recognize in Catherine's story the same fear, the same uncertainty, the same relentless effort to keep living a full life while fighting a disease that demands so much. Her willingness to speak publicly about her diagnosis has given others permission to speak about theirs, and in doing so, she has already left a meaningful legacy, regardless of how her story ultimately unfolds. What comes next for Catherine is uncertain in the way that all cancer treatment is uncertain. Her medical team, described as representing the very best of British oncology, will pursue every available avenue. Modern cancer medicine is advancing at a remarkable pace. Treatments that did not exist 5 years ago are now changing outcomes for patients whose prognosis once seemed grim. Immunotherapy, targeted therapy, combination approaches based on the specific genetic profile of individual cancer cells. These tools represent genuine cause for hope in even the most challenging cases. Catherine has access to every possible resource. The finest specialists, the most advanced diagnostic technology, access to clinical trials, and experimental protocols. These things cannot guarantee a particular outcome, but they do ensure that no stone is left unturned and no option goes unexplored. What the coming months will require of her is the same thing she has already demonstrated she possesses in abundance: endurance, faith, and the quiet, determined courage to keep fighting one day at a time. They will require the same of William, of her children, of the royal family as a whole, and in a different but real way, of the nation that has come to care for her so deeply. Today's announcement from Buckingham Palace is not the ending of anything. It is a confirmation of the seriousness of what Catherine faces, and a call for continued support, continued prayer, and continued hope. The palace has chosen transparency over silence, and in doing so has honored both Catherine's dignity and the genuine concern of a public that deserves to know the truth. In the days and weeks ahead, there will be more information, more updates, more careful management of a deeply human story that happens to be unfolding at the very center of one of the world's most watched institutions. Through all of it, the most important thing to remember is not the titles, not the palace, not the monarchy as an abstract concept, but the woman herself, a wife, a mother, a person fighting for her life with grace and courage that commands our deepest respect. We hold on to hope, we send our prayers, and we wait, alongside a nation and a world that wants nothing more than to see Catherine well.